Hi, my name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor. Several years ago I purchased a very old and quite famous wooden sailing yacht for the price of $1, and since then I've been rebuilding that boat from the keel up with the help of a lot of amazing people.
What's up?
Now in this episode, amongst other things, we're going to be installing the brand new aluminium diesel tanks inside the boat, but the first thing that I'm going to be working on is starting to make some watertight hatches for the electrical locker underneath the companionway steps. So I'm standing in the companionway. The entrance to the boat will be up here, and there'll be steps coming down here, and then underneath the steps, this is the main electrical distribution locker. And Joe has actually been doing a lot of work in here, rewiring everything and making it really space efficient. And at some point we might do a deep dive on how all this works if people are interested. But right now I want to focus on getting this sealed up. I'll be sealing it against the dust while we're working on the boat, but eventually, and more importantly, it'll be sealing it against water, because at some point a wave will come crashing down this open companionway and we need to prevent water from getting inside the electrical locker. So I've been thinking about how to do this a lot, and now I have a pretty good design and a pretty good plan, I think. And basically there's going to be two watertight and airtight gasketed hatches which completely seal this locker. Now the first step for me is to make a purple heart beam which runs between these two rails and separates this locker into two separate openings. Okay, so I made a sort of crossbeam which splits that big opening into two, and now I've cut out the two plywood panels which are going to make the hatches to fill those two spaces. Now just having a hatch there isn't enough because water could get around the back of it if a big wave comes in. So I'm going to put a gasket around the outside of each one. And for gasketing material I'm using this, which is 5/16 surgical tubing, and this is going to be let into a little rebate all the way around the edge of each hatch, and then when the hatch is in place it'll be squished between the hatch and the hatch surround and should make a watertight seal all the way around. Yeah, go! Okay, so we're just getting ready to lift the diesel tanks into the boat. Now, they're too heavy and too big to lift up here by hand, but they're not really crazy heavy, so we're going to lift them with a pretty lightweight lifting rig that we've got here, and I've just been up to attach the anchor point to one of the big beams of the building. Now, this is a pretty cool setup. It's actually Joe's gear, and it's from a rafting rescue kit. But basically, it's just a simple 2-to-1 purchase. We got a block fastened to the line up there with a prusik knot, and then this is our lifting end, so this will get attached to a tank. We'll strap this block to an anchor point on the boat, and then we'll be able to just pull the tank up like this. Now, one cool thing about this setup is this prusik knot. A prusik knot will slide along a rope if it's not under tension, but if you put tension on the tail, it'll bind and catch. So basically, if you're hauling this rope, you're hauling your object, the rope will slide through the prusik knot. But if you need to let go or you drop it accidentally, when the prusik knot comes up tight, it'll break the line and stop the object from falling, and no one has to be holding the tail. To let the object down, you have to hold the prusik knot down like this while you ease the rope through. Now, the first tank that we're going to be putting in is the port side tank, and that's the most critical because it fits in between two bulkheads with very, very little room to spare. If it didn't fit in that gap or fit the shape of the hull, it would be a real disaster. We did a lot of work with CAD modeling and laser scans to try and make sure it will fit, but you can never be quite sure, so fingers crossed.
You doing all the work, Patty?
What the hell's going on in there?
Just cleaning this space up before we put the tank in for the final time.
Wow.
Clifton left some packing tape under these nuts.
I was wondering if he was going to call him out.
Yeah, I'm totally calling Clifton out right now. But I had to get in here anyway to vacuum up before we put the tank in, because after that there's going to be no access.
You look cozy as hell.
Yeah. So this port tank, which is the critical one because it's contained at both ends, did fit in the allocated space, which is a huge relief. I mean, I thought it would, but there's always that moment of doubt just before you put it in, and if it hadn't fit, it would have been a big problem. So it fit in, we were all really pleased. We dry fitted it, drilled some pilot holes and so on, and then we've taken it back out again to clean up inside. And now we're getting ready to put it in for good. So saying goodbye to that portion of the inside of the hull. We won't see it again for a long time. And just gonna swing the tanks up. They're gonna be fastened up into the big carlin beam there, and they're gonna sit on big bearers on both the bulkheads and be bolted down through the bulkheads and the stringer. So they're gonna be really well secured. And the fit is just perfect. It's just about a 1/4 inch to spare over that whole length of tank, which is pretty amazing. And they don't touch anywhere they shouldn't. There's a good distance between the tanks and any of the bronze or the copper, and all the brackets are in the right place.
Not moving. I think we're solid. Woo! What do you say? What do you say, Cal?
Oh yeah, I think we're fine.
Nice. No, she's in there like swimwear, baby. Right tucked in, nice and tight. No room to spare.
Both tanks.
You couldn't even fit a freaking extra thin crust pizza from Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Patty, I've been in the editing booth all day today, but what have you been doing?
I just installed the fuel tank. We put this guy in yesterday, but just this morning I fastened in these cleats that Leo made up. We actually had to notch this in. You see this notch here because there's a cockpit that comes in and it's got to slide in, and we needed this clearance here against the Carlin, so we had to cut a little rebate there. So we got some pads and we'll fasten this guy into the build stringer. We're gonna get a through bolt through this pad through the bulkhead, and then we'll plumb them up and fill them with diesel and hook them up to the motor and fire up the motor and kick in the aqua drive and blast off, man.
Head out those doors for the proper turning.
Right.
After the flood.
Yeah. Looking good. Looking good. Yep. Looking good. So
Hold on, I gotta go slow here. Side to side is pretty snug.
how's those biggies, Cliff? We're there.
This is great.
No, it's super cool to see Clifton's work on the beams here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This feels nice.
Yeah.
Patrick. Where's my gin and tonic?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Right away, sir.
Well, I'm really happy that the diesel tanks went in so well, and it was a lot of fun to dry fit the cockpit and see how it feels. Now that was just a test fit. Clifton's been doing a great job on the cockpit, and his next step is to glue on thin teak cladding to the inside walls.
Hey gang, welcome to the finish booth. Here we are with the cockpit footwell. If you remember from the last clips, you saw me and George vacuum bagging the teak verticals. And I chose vacuum bagging just because it's a superior gluing method. You can get so much clamping pressure, even clamping pressure, just by removing the air in a bag. You're looking at one really good coat of varnish on these presently, and it's almost ready for install. This cockpit footwell we engineered as one piece so that it could be removable with a little bit of woodwork and no demolition. We could remove this and have access to either tank or the engine.
Nice. That was great. So the hatches for the watertight locker under the companionway have been made, but they're not quite finished yet. They do need another coat of paint, and I haven't put the gasket in, and eventually there's going to be little dogs all the way around to hold them in nice and tight. It is nice just to see that they fit though, and I have actually started building the companionway steps that'll be made of teak and will go on top of those lockers and will fold out of the way. I think they'll be really nice, and they'll be in another video pretty soon. Right, well that's about all we got time for right now. It's really great to see the diesel tanks finally installed in the boat. Right now they're just sitting on some cleats as well as their top tabs, but we do have to make some more brackets for them for the lower end to make sure they're really secure. All the other work that has been going on here has been really great as well, so big thanks to the team. Thanks for watching, and a massive thank you to everyone who has donated or otherwise supported this project. I have to say it really does blow my mind time and time again the way that this community comes together to get us through and keep us working. So thank you, it makes a huge difference. It means we're able to keep on doing this work and I'm able to keep on making these videos. So I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.